Exhausted. All right. I think I can hear the music. You hear the music? Oh man. Let's look at YouTube. We're connected on YouTube. Let's see if anyone is there. And okay, no music. That's good because I guess it just auto. Oops, there we go. I think it's just. Wait, let me get rid of that. Let's see. Yeah, I can't stop it. I think it just auto cancels. Yeah, so that cancellation. You can hear my voice though. Is this cool? I'm close. Um, I have some music playing on my end. All right, I think I got rid of it. Cool. Well, how are you doing? I'm just going to do a quick one here. This is what is this? Monday, March 18th. The Ides of March +3. And here in rainy, kind of gray Gainesville, Florida. Yeah, Gainesville, Florida. Why are we here, you might wonder. Who goes to Gainesville, Florida? We're on the way. No, nothing against Gainesville, until they deserve it. But we are on tour. I'm on tour with Pat Metheny, and we're on what you call a submarine ride, which is just really long bus ride. I think the distance from point to point is 13 hours, maybe something, 15 hours. And the legal limit for drivers, bus drivers in the US, I believe is 8, and I think you can do 10, and it's a further charge or something. These things change a little bit, so I might be off a little, but it's called an overdrive if they go over the regular legal limit. And so you have these, limits when it's 15 hours, 17 hours, stuff like that. So what we do, let me just enter this. What we do is we drive to the limit, 8 hours, 9, whatever it was, stay in a hotel till midnight so that the driver has over 12 hours rest time, midnight or so, and then we leave again. so that's what we're doing, and we leave again tonight at 1 a.m. The bus call is 1 a.m. A bus call on tour is when the bus starts moving. Some of y'all need to understand that. It's not doesn't mean show up at 1:03. We're rolling, wheels up, which is more of a flight term. But so 1 a.m. So here for a while, and just really, oh man, I see a few people that tour. Those of you who tour know that when you get a day off, and this is not really a day off. Some of you know this. Okay, real quick, a day off, a real day off means you wake up in the hotel so that you got there at some point during the night. To be fair, sure, it could be 4 a.m., could be whatever. But a real day off, you wake up in the hotel, and 4 a.m. is cutting it close. You wake up in the hotel and you sleep in that same hotel, and you do not leave said hotel till a reasonable time, 10 in the morning, something like that. That's a real day off. That 24-hour thing. We call these travel days because part of it is travel. And on most tours, it's mostly travel days. If people see the calendar and, oh, good, you're off. And you say, look at it again. We had 6 before it and 5 after. So, it's now 0 of this is complaint. I'm just explaining. I love what I do. There's a certain level of masochism involved when you are involved in this business. And I don't mean the whips and chains kind of Marilyn Manson type. And I have a Marilyn Manson story. I mean, what you do to your what's it? What system? Not the limbic system. The adrenals. What you do to your adrenal glands to do this job. It's really stupid. But it's for the love of music. It's for the love of traveling. I love it. It's really just remarkable. And so I'm reflecting on that as I got to look it up, but somewhere like 25 years touring, something like that. Yeah, somewhere around there. Is that correct math? Oh my God, I'm so groggy. Well, 25 years of working professionally for other people, at least 25. I think it's somewhere around there, 2000 somewhere. But so anyway, rambling a little bit. I need some more caffeine. Focusing here today, we're going to talk a little bit about Meatless Monday and what it's like on tour. I've got couple pictures, food, venues, some other stuff. Not doing that many food pictures on this tour, but one thing I wanted to talk about, I always hit some news items, is being here in Florida, because it's Governor DeSantis, that genius, is either signing or proposing a bill that's lab-grown meats. He wants to ban lab-grown meats. So, and not just banning it, but criminalizing it. So this guy. So let's start with that. I'm going to jump right in. And but first, like a good radio host, I should greet some people. Let's see. Hey, on YouTube, we have Lee Gollin. How are you, my friend? What does this say? Did 14 to 18-hour drives many times. Yeah, it sucks. No days off usually. It's a hand job. Well, that's not too bad. What kind of gigs are you doing? Or is that it's a hard job? Yeah, that's worse. Well, I've done many of those, not hand jobs. I mean, this is an honest day's work here. I do a lot of 14-hour, well, a fair amount of 14-hour drives, but in my own solo punk rock tours, in my own thing, or even with Project Object, we always had at least people in their 60s in the band, and sometimes people in their 80s and 90s. So we kind of we try to do uh, uh, 5, 6 hours, but at night maybe 90 minutes after the show. So it depends, but we sorry, just doing some managing here. We this is a bus tour, so the distances are consistently so great that they stay under 8 hours. And so we usually drive at night and just wake up at the next venue, next city. 6 hour drive, 7 hour drive, 4 hour drive. But yeah, when you're doing your own tours, Lee, absolutely. I sleep in my car and drive, X amount of hours. The most I've driven on a tour, though, hovers around 14, 15 in one shot. Maybe more. That there was that 10 years after tour where we had to go from Fort Lauderdale to Sellersville, Pennsylvania, with one day in between. Holy shit. Uh, you know, shit gets crazy. But on my own, like just driving a van of equipment, I'm just kind of monitoring emails and stuff. It's still the office day. Um, uh, the van, just being a van driving guy, driving some gear. I've done, I think, 14 hours, like one straight shot, like just caffeine and Red Bull and questioning your sanity. 14 hours is kind of my outside limit. Um, anyway, hello, Lee Garland. Please keep commenting. I will check there. Over on Facebook, no one's on Twitch. I wish you would, because Twitch is great. Let's talk to some people on Facebook. Sharon Rudolph, how are you? Government ban asbestos. I saw that. Thanks, guys. Too little, too late. Yeah, that's great. We applaud when these things actually happen. I think the good thing with asbestos is it's been a long ramp to that. And so many companies have already banned asbestos. So you don't really have it in a lot of building materials that you used to, or things like that. It's in old buildings and its own old installation material and stuff, I believe. But absolutely, I celebrate that moving forward. It's yeah, illegal. That's great. Hello, Rick Glover. How are you, my friend? You are, oh, okay, we'll see you. Wait, that comment went away. Let me see you sometime soon. That's genius. I just saw your Clearwater. Okay, great. Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to say hi. At these shows, I usually say hi after the show because it's wow, this is a long day. It's incredible show. I'm very proud of what we do. Our team of our audio and stage team is 3 of us. Our whole team is 5 people. So you have Pat and 5 people. But those of us on the stage, we have both the tour manager and a merch guy who's also a production assistant to the tour manager. But 3 of us in the venue when the show's happening. Front of house guy, who's also the production manager, and stage crew. I'm stage crew and guitar tech. And a third person is stage crew and monitor engineer. It's a long fucking day. I mean, there's 10 guitars in the show and 4 or 5 or so others that are with us. So it's a lot of things to pay attention to. That said, I usually do not, there's no hanging out. I can't go out to lunch or things like that. So I will say hi and you can text me. I say hi right before doors, that half hour before doors, usually, unless there's some crisis. And then I could say hi briefly from the stage when the show's over, or 90 minutes after the show. So kind of crazy. Yeah, it's just that kind of show. But that's for everyone to know who comes to shows, because sometimes people think, let's have lunch, let's have dinner, let's hang out, let's go see the city. I wish, but anyway. Raymond Helfrich, good to see you too, my friend, virtually. Um, Johnny Luca, hey, how are you, man? Uh, yeah, I'm the best man. Someone said, who's the groom? Very funny. Johnny Luca, how are you, my friend? How's your meatless Monday doing? How's your meatless journey? Are you experiencing that still? Are you I saw a picture or two from the cruise. Can't wait to hear how that went. See some video. But those cruises are great though for vegetarian. I've never had a problem. And the European lines are fantastic. Man, the food's actually really good on the Norwegian cruise lines and the Italian cruise lines. Wow. I tell you, man, no shit. My bar is pretty high. I'll say if it's shitty, tasteless food, I will call it out. But how was it? Let's talk about cruise food a little bit. Bob Gluck, yes, I am doing it. I'm doing the show. Yeah, I told you. I said, you know what? I'm a little groggy, but let's try this just to keep it going. I'll also keep it a short show. I should put a timer on because I'm working on my radio thing. And on radio, you got to keep it a tight, whatever it is, 60, 90. And so try to keep this tight. I think 90 at the most. Dave Kersner, what's up, bro? We were just in touch also, and hope you're doing well, recovering from the cruise exhaustion. All of y'all, man. It's the cruise is awesome, but it's 5 days of no sleep, right? Um, what I do loves me back. Well, thanks, bro. It's yeah, music becomes more and more significant as a life force. It's always been for me, but more and more I think about my relationship with music as a child with a radio and just staring at that radio like this is magic, this stuff coming out. So I think a lot about how it is my life. This job, other jobs coming up, and making music as much as I can. Um, so I give thanks. Brian Casher, froth oat milk latte, please. Yeah, more and more oat milk showing up in Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, I think, has it in some of these products. I have some coffee with me here. We're a big cold brew tour. We have hot coffee too, but I like this one, Chameleon. Very good. Unsweetened, unsweetened black, organic. Kind of like me. You know, I'm not sweet at all. And I'm black and I'm pretty organic. So that's my brew. That's my commercial for Chameleon handcrafted cold brew. And I'm somewhat of a musical chameleon. I'm compiling some shit now, and there is kind of singer-songwriter acoustic shit. There's rock, there's funk rock, there's progressive-ish instrumentals, and there's a ton of electronic music lately. So there we have it. Okay, let me see. Let me catch up here. 3 busy days. Florida, Fort Lauderdale, then back here to Greenville, to Gainesville, where we are, and then back to Clearwater. I guess, yeah. Is Clearwater that much further south? I don't even know. I'm very good at maps too, but I forgot to kind of take a minute and suss out Florida. So Gainesville, yeah, Gainesville is up there though, yeah. But yep, and then dip down a little bit to back down to Clearwater. Looking at the map here. Yeah, the thing about bus tours is it's all on the bus driver. Like you just get in the bus, you don't even care. So a lot of bus tours, if you look at a lot of major artists too, but I'm out with a major artist, but a lot of like big pop artists, because they're zigzagging, they're hitting every city. You look at the schedule of you know, Pink or Taylor Swift or Beyonce or, um, I don't know, Ed Sheeran or somebody like that, when they're playing, they zig and zag all over the place just to adhere to the schedule of what's open, and they don't care because the bus driver, as long as it's within 8 hours. So that's kind of, you know, but yeah, we're zigzagging Florida. A lot of artists don't play as many shows in Florida as we do. Pat really has a strong Florida thing. Um, so Thomas Palmieri, oh, you're in the Tampa area? Wow, what the hell are you doing there? Oh, you must have got off the cruise and then hung out in Tampa. You might have missed the beginning, but I'm at a hotel in Gainesville. There's a show in Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater in a couple of days. Joaquim, how are you, my friend? Long time no see. Looking forward to see you in the fall. And Alan, oh, thank you, my friend. I try to be sweet, but I usually fail at it. Alan Gowa, you will be very happy to see t-shirt I'm rocking right now. Can you see that? Alan Gowa is one of my fellow early Kiss adherents, and meaning the first decade of Kiss, something like that. Alan, you probably wouldn't even go the first decade, right? But yeah, Rock and Roll Over. We listened to a little bit of this last night, inspired by my shirt. What a great record. Jesus. It really is an unsung kind of like Les Pauls, Marshalls, SM57s. Let's go. Very raw sounding, amazing record. Anyway, all right, let's talk a little bit about the Florida thing. And I want your thoughts on this. I would like your thoughts on this. The governor of Florida, the jackass, is going to ban uh what's the proper word for it? Lab grown meat. I think that's, yeah. Let's see. Food and Wine is asking me to subscribe. No, just let me see the article. Some of these, when you got to read an article these days, sometimes it gets old. I subscribe to a lot of things, and I get it. They've got a business model, but sometimes it's just so annoying. Okay, let's try to find this. Try to put this article on the screen for you. But I'll riff while we're doing that. Have you heard this? Have you read this? If not, check it out. So lab-grown meat is a thing. It's a growing thing. I haven't checked in a while, but I know Israel has made it legal. Singapore has made it legal. I think maybe one or two other countries has made it legal, and it's on some platform of legality in the USA. And it's inevitable, completely inevitable, because of the environmental thing, because of what's happening environmentally in the big animal murder agriculture system states, California, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Florida, a lot of the middle states, a lot of animal slaughter in Illinois, Indiana, all that stuff. You know, uh, and they're seeing major problems with their water supply, waste that's created, um, you know, by animal agriculture, especially in the Carolinas where there's a lot of pig farming. We've got, man, these effluent pools, these massive pools of pig shit, basically, that are very difficult to process and to get rid of. Very difficult. I mean, look that up if you've never heard that. The cost of beef I'm sorry, the cost of eating pork. Uh, Sorry here. I am still at work, so just responding a little bit to some things. I really apologize. Um, I was saying, if you have not read this, if you have not gone down this rabbit hole, the unbelievable amount of damage that pig farming does, commercial pig farming, it's incredible. Um, really incredible. So look that up. Um, and again, I think I need to say it every time, but people need to know my perspective. If you choose to eat flesh, you choose to eat animals and the slaughtered animal flesh, birds, pigs, cows, goats, the common things. For some strange reason, not horses. I never understand that. Not even rabbit is a line for people. Oh my God, it's so gross. Oh, it's very interesting, the arbitrary nature of that. Because I mean, if you meet a pig, holy shit, pigs are just so lovely, and you know, they're like dogs. They're kind of highly intelligent. Some research says smarter than dogs. That's a pointless argument, but they're very smart. And you really feel it. They come up and look you in the face and they nuzzle you and they kind of love being scratched. So we have all this arbitrary stuff. That's a whole other show. But if you are going to eat flesh, I do. I respect that choice. I just urge you to find farm raised, humanely raised. In the case of the how do you say it? Ungulate animals, the grazing animals. Um, in the case of cows and goats and buffalo and stuff, have it be grass-fed source, have it be organic animals that are not drugged, that are not given growth hormones, they're not given antibiotics, all this bullshit. So I urge people, if you're going to eat flesh foods, find those which are incredibly available. No nitrate, no nitrates and nitrites added, things like that. And I mean, wow, you go to Target now and you see a really good. I will say that a Target, a regular Target that has the food section, is as good as a natural food store was in 1995, even 2000. I'm not exaggerating. Why? Because I worked in the natural foods industry for almost 20 years and co-owned a natural food store for over a decade. Some of you know that, some of you don't. But it's amazing. A Target, organic produce, always a major section of vegetarian and vegan proteins. I go into Target, man, I get tofu, I get miso. I get my miso that I travel with my miso Pelican. I get organic oranges, organic scallions. I'm amazed in a Target. And then there's hummus, there's pickles, refrigerated, fresh, clean ingredient pickles. There's these high protein bars. There's, as I said, hummus, maybe 5 types, guacamole, kimchi, vegan kimchi. Uh, some kimchi has fish and shrimp, of course, but lots of it does not. But I can get a feast in um, Target, a whole aisle of nuts and seeds and kind of clean, plant-based protein snacks or staples. On and on and on. Lots of frozen stuff too. But my point is, if you choose flesh, even in those places, you see, you know, no hormones added kind of things. In any event, all of that as a background to say that we're going to need to grow animal flesh in a lab. You have no choice. You don't have to eat it, but the other type is going to become incredibly expensive as the environmental toll gets out of control. Anyway, Governor DeSantis does not like it. We're not going to have fake meat. Like, that doesn't work, he says. How about you're a jackass? This guy, I mean, I'm sorry. Anyone who respects this guy. Actually, if you do, make the case. What's good about this guy? I know there's a couple of Florida people on here, and I'm gonna, you know me, I'll be asking crew members along these 5 or 6 shows. I start shit. Well, I don't start shit. In a friendly manner, I often ask people locally about the politics. And most times they're very progressive people because the arts generally attracts that. But there's a lot of conservatives, a lot of right wingers that you encounter in the crew, especially on Long Island. But I I digest. Anyway, so DeSantis has this bill, and I think it's hitting his desk, maybe today, in fact. You need meat. Okay. Well, you don't, but he's wrong. Again, he's wrong about everything, it seems. He says, you need meat. Okay. And we're going to have meat in Florida. We're not going to have fake meat. Like, that doesn't work. Yeah. Dr. DeSantis, the fucking medical, nutritional, and environmental expert. Cell cultivated meat, to be clear, differs from traditional veggie burgers and meat alternatives. Exactly. Because there is a lumping in. I had someone let me know about this, and someone texted me and thinking it was banning things like, veggie burgers or field roast sausage, which we enjoy on this tour. We have a lot on the tour bus. This kind of plant-based sausage company. It's fantastic. Field roast, if you've never had that. But that's not what they're talking about. Talking about the lab grown, cell cultivated. I guess that's the proper name. Well, tell me what you think about it. If you haven't read this, you can easily Google these articles. There's 2 companies that have FDA approval. That's what it was. Remember, I was saying earlier that there's some partial approval in the US. That's it. 2 companies. There's 150 companies around the world doing this, 43 of which are here in the States, 2 of which have their FDA approval. Good meat and upside food. So it's still a tiny industry. That's another one too. As a vegan, as a vegetarian, I don't have stocks. I'm not a stock guy. I need to learn about that shit in time for retiring when when it just becomes too stupid to put my adrenal glands through this. So I got to really learn more about investing. But that's a question. Do I invest in some of these companies that are just getting started? Because they will grow. I mean, again, do you pick the right one is another thing. But small industry with major financial backing. Some $3 billion has been invested in this growth of these companies via private capital. An additional $5 million has been issued via the National Science Foundation. How about that? So we give these pricks $5 million of my tax dollars. And I say pricks predictably because we all know they're not going to give that back. These companies, man, we always fund them with kind of federal research money, and very little times do we get that back. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna jump back to your comments. Tell me what you think on this technology, and tell me what you think about Ron DeSantis trying to ban it. I mean, seems a little, these Republicans, man, I could do another show that's just about politics, and if you're crying like a bitch because I'm about to say something about Republicans, then hey, I'm sorry. But I rip on the Democrats too when they do stupid shit. But one thread with Republicans is to go on and on and on about a standard or a moral position and then be hypocrites about it. One of them, again, you could go all day, especially in Florida. One of them is freedom, freedom, freedom. Let people decide, usually when it's about guns and buying and selling guns at gun shows out of someone's van. And, there's a lot of talk about choice, but then when it comes to women and reproductive choice, Bingo. That's their first example of hypocrisy. But here, you got to ask DeSantis, well, wait a minute. If someone wants to choose this completely legal, shown to be safe food item, why are you stopping it? I mean, what? It just makes my blood boil. How is that freedom, Mr. DeSantis? You don't eat it. It's like the same answer. Don't like abortions? Don't have one. Uh, you know, uh, yeah. So, like your thoughts on that. Uh, let's go to some of your thoughts. Um, please comment. Please add questions or comments. Sharon says they had a variety of hummus on the cruise. That's great. Well, to say the least, yeah. I think tons of other veggie food too, right? Hopefully you had, yeah, all kinds of stuff. We'll come back to some cruise food, but yeah, love it. Rich Gregory, how are you, my friend? How's your meatless journey? So Bob says, we'll have meat, but not books or decisions about one's life. That's true. Yeah. Uh, good one. Again, we could do a whole show. uh, you know, uh, Thomas says, Florida is the worst part of South Jersey. Uh, you know, South Jersey's a trip. Mark Wolf Lorado, how are you, my friend? After living in Florida, the governor is a complete ass and scary. I know. Uh, let's see what. Oh, I think I've caught up on those comments. So again, if you haven't heard of the debacle of what's going on in Florida, there it is. That could mean anything, this state. But about this, I say anti-freedom, right? Again, environmentally, I'm a big fan of this technology because if you're going to eat flesh, you want something that is biologically beef or chicken, and it is, um, you know, yeah, it's cultured in a lab. I mean, I know some people um, are having a hard time with that, which will always be true. Um, it's a little sci-fi for me. If I ate meat, I don't know. I'd have it. I don't know. I say now that I would, but I don't know because I'm a sci-fi kind of a guy. I mean, do I eat plant-based food that's grown in a cell? I mean, there's some cultured foods and fermented. Tempeh, for instance, is soybeans that are steamed and cracked and put in a container, and a culture is added, and so they're cultured inside uh, a food preparation facility of some sort. So you can make a similar analogy. And there's other mushroom based processes. I don't know, kombucha, things like that, where yeah, it starts with some raw ingredients and it cultures and it changes in a sterile situation and it becomes the finished product and you buy and eat it. So if I look at the analogy that way, yeah, I'm comfortable with it. So what's interesting to me is you have no choice, meat eaters. If you live another 20 years or something, you'll have to grapple with we're all gonna have to grapple with food shortage and food issues, all kinds of food, plant-based food too. But you're gonna have to grapple with, are you cool with crickets as a protein source? And are you cool with um, lab grown um, meats, cell grown meats? Um, here's another article that I encourage you to read. Man, why can't I? Weird day for sharing screens here, folks. So here's an article that Israel, this is two months ago, almost to the day. Cultured beef is now legal in Israel. They have done cultured chicken and maybe turkey already. Excuse me. One of those is available, or maybe more. But anyway, they got to beef now. And you read the reviews, people are like, wow, I could not tell the difference. And I've read a few of these articles. Some people say it's a little more tender tasting, it's this, it's that. But most people are like, holy crap. So anyway, yeah, Singapore and the US have approved cultured chicken. So has Israel, I thought. But Israel's the first to give beef the go ahead. And there it is, Aleph. Pretty out there. I've even talked to a vegetarian or two who would eat it. I don't necessarily get that, but you do you. This is also kosher, parv. How do you say that? Parv. Uh, and it's okay. This meat is cultivated from stem cells taken from fertilized egg rather than cells of muscle tissue. So they're growing it from a fertilized egg inside of from a cow, you know. So this opens interesting questions if you do this in Alabama. Is it a full cow if it's just a fertilized egg? All these questions. Can the farmer count 10 fertilized eggs as 10 cows and write them off? These are all new math problems for the 5th grade math books in Alabama. Anyway, there you have it. I'll put this article into the thread here on Facebook. But what do you think? Let's see how YouTube activity is. So okay, that's one of the main things I want to jump on and talk about, and just kind of spur some thought about that, if I could. I thought that was a big news item. I will field any questions about Meatless Monday and Meatless World. This year, celebrating 40 years since I ate dead flesh. 40 years, 1984 in the summer. Maybe it was the fall. So yeah, summer I quit meat of all sort. Like I had slowly done it. I was down to just chicken and fish, and then fish, and I remember I think I had late summer 84. I had I could actually pinpoint the date because I missed Zappa at the pier in New York to be on a Disney World trip with my family, actually not far, Orlando. And I had a piece of alligator. I had already quit most other meats. I remember, because this is what it's like for it was for me, and I've talked to other people who quit eating animals. There's a time when you're like, what? So is that? Well, what's a snake? What do I eat? How about crickets? How about, well, birds? All right. So, right. And so you have people who still eat fish because they say, well, that's not an animal, which it certainly is. The whole discussion there. But I remember going in this very natural part of that evolution. I said, alligator, like, all right. And I had a piece of alligator, and tastes like chicken. You know, it's kind of a gamey, chewy thing, if I remember correctly. And but soon after I regretted it. I was like, no, that's just as much an animal as, you know. And right around there, I read the book Animal Liberation by Peter Singer, which I cannot recommend enough. Incredible book. Incredible book. Still a resonant message. Man, he talks about some serious stuff. So that's part of what the next bunch of shows are going to be, like kind of maybe digging up some pictures and articles. I wrote an article actually that got the center pages of the Rutgers University newspaper, the Targum. Very proud of that. I have a whole other career as a writer, and I don't say that lightly. I wrote for both Rutgers newspapers, the Livingston Medium, the Targum, number of articles in those, and interviews and a few things about food, record reviews, stuff like that. And then also at Middlesex County College, wrote at that paper. And later on in, those are school newspapers, in real newspapers too, the Two River Times in Red Bank, Monmouth County, and the Hub, which was a really big paper out of Red Bank, New Jersey, again in Monmouth County. Wrote an article there for years about food and plant-based food, and also wrote for 3 or 4 magazines. A magazine by a martial arts guy who had a dojo and wrote about Buddhism and meditation and Qigong and various Eastern modalities. And I had a monthly article on foods, protein sources, essential fats, organic versus non-organic, just different topics. So I love to write, and these days I write press releases and different things. But I'm going to try to go through the basement and dig up a lot of my articles over the past 40 years. I really stopped, 20 years ago, but with that stuff. But yeah, one of these days digitize a lot of these published things and put them online so that, the 2 people who care might want to see it. So Florida is indeed the worst part of South Jersey. That's very good. South Jersey is the worst part of South Jersey. Soylent Green, yeah, it brings that to mind. It's not people yet, but it's this thing. Peter Mathis, how are you, my friend? How's your hot sauce company going? No, I will not be in Asheville. I'm on this tour till mid-April. But oh man, well, send me a DM or text me if have you been to Asheville? Do you know a lot of the cool spots? But it's a very tourist friendly city. So if you've never been, very easy to find all this stuff. But if you need some hints on some music spots or need any contacts or something, there is a hot sauce store downtown, right downtown where the park is in the center of town, right on that square. Last I checked, most recent time I saw is an all hot sauce place. Let's see. Bob asks if it's distinct from GMO. That's a great question. There's some overlap. Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, they're culturing cells. There definitely some genetic science involved, right? Because you're removing a fertilized egg from the reproductive system of a cow, and I would presume you could do it equally with a goat or a pig. So you've got some high level science going on with knowing how to pull that off. That's a great question. Are they genetically modifying anything? I mean, yeah, it's a great question. Someone with a bio degree can answer that. I took bio in college, but certainly am not a biochemist or anything. But I do understand a lot of those processes. I read a lot about that stuff. I would go ahead and say, yeah, there's a Venn diagram there, and there's some overlap because they are really what they're doing, though, is providing a medium for these cells to replicate, to grow. So it's more about the medium, and they figured out the substrate to put this stuff in, that it's getting the nutrients that cells would grow with. And so there's a lot of chemicals involved. There's a lot of exact pH involved. That again, the bit I've read about the cell-grown meat over the years, and this goes back, they've been trying this for decades, actually. Is it GMO? Great question. Really great question. Very thoughtful question, because it comes down to where you draw the line. Thomas Palmieri says, go to the museum. Absolutely, for Pete visiting Asheville. Lynn Zawada, my dear friend, how are you? We're working in Florida. Where are you in Florida? Come to a show. Jeffrey Moser. Mamoons. Okay. You don't know how you feel about it. That's great. I didn't know there was one in Hoboken. I know there's one in Jersey City. Mamoons, folks, if you don't know, is one of the most incredible falafel places. The flagship, well, there's two flagships. One's in New Haven, Connecticut. One's in Sullivan Street, is it? Or McDougal Street? McDougal Street in the Village, right around the corner from the Blue Note. Amazing. Great falafel. Still only a couple bucks, $5-6. Great, fresh, incredible falafel. But now there's one in Hoboken. Okay. If you cultured human cells, would it be a person in Alabama? That's great. That's great. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'll send you the tour dates then. Right, is is it a person? Oh man. So Alabama, I'll close. Let's see, what time do we have here? Oh, this is good. I'm not even an hour. Pretty cool. But I will talk a little bit about Alabama, and I'll do some food photos here. Let me just get some pictures going. Alabama, very interesting. We did a show there in Birmingham, as the Brits would say, but Birmingham. Where's my, how do I get photos? And Birmingham was cool. Yeah, I've been there maybe twice in my adult life, and it's great, for so many reasons. I like old cities. I like old buildings and old, amazing brick kind of mid-century stuff. And I hate these cities that tear all that down. Man. And so I love these old towns, old cities. Part of where I live in Asheville, there's some old buildings. And I love those. There's some coffee table books of those buildings where you can faintly see the old school ads that were painted onto a building for whatever, Coca-Cola or, some stupid company. But just a snapshot of that time. So I love walking around those kind of cities. And Birmingham is incredible for that. It's very old stuff that's still there. So the city has a nice feel, not a lot of tall buildings, and just big wide streets, and just a cool place. But it's an incredible place because it's one of the ground zero of the civil rights fight and the civil rights evolution, however you want to term it. A lot of important stuff happened there, a lot of marches, and some ugly shit went down there that made it onto the national news and changed people's outlook on things. So Birmingham's incredible. And I'll show a picture. You might have seen it here on my Facebook. The place we played keeps some of this alive they had a sign called a sign that said that said colored entrance, because less than 100 years ago, Black people could not go in the same door as white people. That's even if they could attend the place, let's see, let's pin that. If they could even attend the concert or the musical or the movie, they would have to go into a different entrance and usually be on the balcony, which is kind of funny because the balcony is cool. So, but this place had some signs kind of showing you that, hey, this is how it went down. Here's the, um, here's the colored only entrance. So Alabama was cool. The first person I met in the morning, I had a discussion about uh um embryos, because that's what I do. And that was interesting. And you're in, let's face it, you're in a city. You're in generally cities in the South, in the Midwest are generally progressive. Um and so she was embarrassed. She was like, "Oh, I can't believe the governor and the senators we have." So that's cool. You see that in the cities. And it reflects the problem in a lot of these states, including the state I live, where the Republicans gerrymander and chop up the map so that these counties with a few thousand people in them can supersede the votes and the wishes of a big city like Asheville with 100,000 people. Suddenly some deep red county or town next to us with, or a few towns over. The towns around Asheville are actually pretty cool. But you know what I'm saying. I'm sure people have read about this big problem in Nashville and Tennessee. Um, so that was interesting talking to some people in um, Birmingham, Alabama, the crew, and kind of the people who were working with us were all. There was one kind of pro Bible person. That was interesting, but otherwise, just a really cool place to be. Actually, she was cool too. It was cool to get her view on shit. Um, okay, here's the colored thing, and this is on my um, it's on my Facebook. Sorry, from a couple of days ago. So let's find that. Let's find some food too. Yeah, food's been great on this tour. It's so simple, so easy to get vegetarian food, really. Um, and I keep it simple, I really do on tour. It's just get a couple of things here. How do I? Okay. All right, let's go back to some of your comments. Thoughts, comments, questions, steer my topics to something else. Do you have a question on something in the meatless world? Let's look at YouTube. I'm really enjoying this steak, says Tom Aspie. Tom, by that you mean the one I was showing on the screen, the Israeli lab grown steak? Is that the one you're give me some context there? All Tom says is I'm enjoying this steak. So um tell us more. That'd be great to hear from someone who actually had the Israeli GMO steak. And I have one or two people who watch from Israel, but tell me if that's what you mean. It's possible that Tom just is trolling and you know, like I said, 40 years I've been vegetarian, which also equals 40 years of people, eating meat and saying, this is really good, as if we care, or I'm gonna cry, or don't you wish, holding up, where's my fork? Yeah, we'll do a live. holding up a fork. Yeah. Oh, don't you wish you could eat this bacon? You know, that's like a thing that some people think is no, it's just really, really silly. Um, Jeffrey, Alabama through is Coltrane, Neil Young, and Skinner. Yeah, yeah. Uh, that's the thing. I love Alabama, you know, because the people are cool, man. You know, and everyone I meet talks about how fucked up Senator Britt. Oh my God, that unhinged response thing. I love the ScarJo parody. It's great. But everyone you meet in these states, not everyone, and I love meeting the people who support them. That's who I want to engage and debate and understand. Also, I want to hear their view. I don't shut them down. You know, I'm a listener. I want to hear, well, why is Katie Britt? And when they list the stuff, I kind of take apart the logic sometimes. So I love that shit. But I played Sweet Home Alabama on one of Pat's guitars yesterday to test out the system. I had to. And I did a Neil Young song also, Cortez the Killer, which has nothing to do with Alabama, but just to go to Mount Dora, Florida. You would love it. Well, one of these days, Lynn. Yeah, I mean, there's no time to do anything on these runs. Sad history, and you love that they're not erasing it for future generations. That's for sure. And this state, where DeSantis has made sure a lot of things are not in the books, that's some sad shit, right? Erasing it. I agree. Let's keep teaching. NAACP Image Awards, one of the best award shows. Well thought out and so many good moments. It was on CBS. Great. That's good. And yeah, NAACP has always done some great work, including keeping the word colored alive. That's one of their main achievements as well. Keeping the phrase colored people in the vernacular. I quite enjoy that. I'm not going to be out with Band from Utopia. Yeah, I'm on another tour, which I have to lock that shit up today. I announcement soon, folks. Tour that I'm on this summer. Let's just say it has something to do with English progressive rock legends. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're gonna close, like I said, with some pictures, which are always fun. Let me see how I do that. I always forget on sharing on iPad. Share content. There we go. There we go. Oh, cool. Okay, and I just do this. So we got a selection of pictures here, folks, kind of documenting a little bit of the trip, getting emails like crazy for some other things. Questions, thoughts? Yeah, Sharon saying the food was great on the cruise. It really is. People are shocked, but eating vegetarian on a cruise is actually, again, the good cruise ships. There's always a salad bar, always very fresh, so you can really stay mostly raw, which you really want to do on I think, anyway, but certainly on a ship, to just stay with the least processed stuff and, kind of, um, you know, fresh salads. But yeah, there's hummus. There's always like black beans, white beans. There's good protein sources. And we have found that if you go to the chef, they're always coming in and out, bringing food, and you simply say, look, I'm vegetarian, completely vegan. Can you do some tofu for me with just some vegetables? And oh, yeah, sure. What you find is on those ships, a lot of the workers are Asian. You get a lot of Indonesians, actually, a lot of Singaporeans, Malaysians, some Indian people. And so you have a lot of Muslim people, so a lot of people don't eat pork, and a lot of vegetarians. And I found this because, I talked to the crew. I was engaged with the people doing the hard work. And you meet people who are helping you to find vegetarian food. And quite often, just about every cruise I'm on, I meet one of those folks bringing the food in and out who say, "Oh, I'm vegetarian, I'm Hindu," or. And then you have an ally who can kind of say, "Oh, this stuff over here, let me show you. It's a chickpea curry, it's completely vegan, blah, blah, blah. Don't have this rice, this has ghee in it," or whatever. So that I find on a cruise ship, that's crucial to kind of meet someone, and then they can get you special stuff. Anyway, so let's look at some pictures. This was a delicious salad, and this is how I love a salad. Like, um, it's kale, it's a lot of spinach on the bottom, and I'm sorry, mixed greens and cukes, and those are some crunchy chickpeas in this case, nutritional yeast, and some sort of a tahini type thing going on. We are very fortunate that there's all these places across the USA and across the world, like Sweet Greens and Kava and these places where you can order a bowl, and they have various bowls, some with chicken or turkey or something, but based on a bed of greens or a bed of quinoa. And you can just quickly order. And there's always a vegetarian choice or two and a vegan choice or two. There's always like a Greek thing or a Mediterranean thing that often has feta, and you can just leave that out if you choose. But all of these places, you can, quote unquote, build your own, and you just kind of tell them, I love those. And we order from those almost daily for lunch. It's great. It's certainly 3 times a week. Really fantastic. And everyone, loves getting that as a lunch source, because you can do what you want. So I love to just get a bed of greens, sometimes quinoa because it's very high protein for a grain. Um, and then, yeah, whatever vegetables, jalapenos, black olives. Yeah, I love it. Sweet peppers, and as much protein as I can get, whether they have black beans or chickpeas are actually not a great protein source, They're not, versus the carbs. Hummus is a carb bomb, actually, if you really look at it. I'm not saying don't eat it, but for beans, if you're looking for protein, you want lentils or Great Northern beans, white beans, and then black beans, soybeans. So anyway, that was a good meal. Here's just another shot of it. Oh, I had some kind of cauliflower is the thing on top. Geez, where was this? Some city somewhere. I like too that it's these, I'm sorry, plant-based plastic more and more, and these paperboard bowls. That's the thing. Some of these companies are approaching the packaging thing. Not so much this is looks like a plastic bowl, but some sort of bean soup, I guess, was on the choice menu. Oh, right. That was like a Mexican kind of a thing. This was the Mexican place, and I had a delicious uh, tamale, just a vegetable tamale with spinach and like a corn/peanut flour tamale done in the corn leaves, traditionally steamed that way, with delicious sweet peppers and some nice sauce and stuff. So that was pretty cool. You can see some hot sauce there. We have different hot sauce every day on these tours. We get some on the rider, which is our request list of foods. So every day there's a couple new hot sauces to try. This is my little container that I carry around. I have a little Tupperware-ish thing. And what I do is if we have a buffet, because I intermittent fast also on tour. I eat some breakfast, usually, if I'm lucky. Like, I've been really loving the Greek style yogurt from Silk, which is like at least 20 grams of protein. Incredible. Great stuff. And coconut based. And I'll add to that some hemp seed protein. Hemp seed protein is incredible. 3 tablespoons is 10 grams. Very easy to put that in a cup of yogurt. So suddenly you're 30 grams of protein. And then maybe I'll have a couple Brazil nuts and almonds with that. So I'll knock it up to 40, 45 grams of protein just for breakfast, and a couple of bananas or something. I'll break my fast, and then lots of fluids in the morning, water and coffee or tea, and then I'll have a really big lunch, and then I do not eat till the next morning, and I feel great. It's kind of awesome. So I end up fasting about let me do the math. Let's call it 4 o'clock, even 5 o'clock. Uh, Something like 15-hour fast, something like that. 15, sometimes even 18 hours. And it's amazing. Feel great, great energy. So what I'll do if I go to the dinner and there's a buffet and there's some good stuff, which always is, I'll make a little bowl. And in this case, there was lentils and tomatoes and stuff like that. And I made a little thing, and I have fresh garlic, which I chop some fresh garlic into that. So yeah, good stuff. This is just a shot of some typical backstage food that's sometimes on our rider. And so we have a lot of natural stuff. These are actually those dairy-free peanut butter cups that are really good. Bananas, we often have organic bananas, different organic snacks. Uh, this was a little vegan cheese plate that we ordered with one of the meals, a cashew-based kind of a brie sort of a thing. Amazing. I mean, vegan cheeses have reached a peak that's incredible. And I've had some vegan cheese in France, in England, some of these real famous cheese making locations in the world where cheesemakers are drilling down and using cashew milk, using coconut base, and using cultures. Cheese is just a cultured food, and the medium of it, while someone's hair is on fire that it has to be milk, has always kind of varied through the centuries on what milk it is. So you had milk from sheep, from cows, from goats. Yes, all animal milks, but they had not yet at that point really mastered. Um, they did some of it. There's almond milk in the 1300s, but people really getting that consistency, that texture from oats, from coconut. Well, coconut too also goes very far back. But as far as I've read, I don't know of anyone trying to culture some of those things in the same way. But there is some examples. There's cultured coconut foods in some Asian foods that go far back. There's certainly cultured bean foods like natto and of course miso and tempeh. So a lot of culturing of different mediums took place. In any event, here we are, 2024, incredible level of. So this is like some cheese and mustard and some kind of preserves and apples, and that was a kind of a fail. That fig sausage on the bottom, it just tasted like figs. It's like, if you're gonna call it sausage, put some sage or some onion and garlic or some shit in there. Anyway, uh, cool place, the Victory Theater. That was cool. And around the corner, I thought that was funny. The NWA Tattoo Expo. It's different NWA. Another great meal, and I do this to encourage people that find some of those places. Sweet Greens is a very popular chain, and Kava is a growing chain. And there's other ones. There's got to be one in your town with different names. I forget some of the names, but they all have the same model. They do these bowls. You can get whatever you like. And in this case, I've got, what do I have? Pepitas there, some tofu, avocado, good fats, some kind of braised or pickled cauliflower, peppers, and some kind of peanut sauce. Wow, good stuff, quick stuff. My dear friend Larry Mitchell came to one of the shows. Larry is an incredible guitarist, great composer, does a lot of soundtracks and does a lot of teaching, a lot of workshops and stuff. And but a lot of his own music, and he's touring a lot. Kind of not the household name he should be in the guitar circles. Although any guitar head that likes instrumental rock and fusion knows Larry. He's been in all the magazines, and I meet people that know about him, but still kind of out there breaking new ground. And he happened to be playing in Rogers, Arkansas, came to the show. And got to meet Pat, and he's a longtime Pat fan, hasn't seen him in decades. But I hadn't seen him in decades. Good to catch up with my bud. Used to go see him at the bitter end in the 90s. Holy shit. Maybe even late 80s. So just beautiful shots. Larry also rekindled my love of black and white photography. I used to exclusively do that for a while, and he reminded me how good and cool that can look. So this is an example of the beautiful buildings you see in some places in the South. And that picture's cool. If you Photoshop those cars out of there, kind of looks like it's 1952 or something. WTOK TV from the heart of Meridian, Mississippi. Yeah, that guy. And there's a cool picture, Pat hanging out with Larry Mitchell. And Pat's great because he loves meeting other musicians. He loves talking to musicians, especially those that teach and carry music forward. And he loves checking out their music. So that's always fun. Here I am at the office. This is some of the guitars that I take care of. Another shot that I try to do these shots where I can kind of say, what year is this? And you can, the cars always give it away, but maybe even one of the buildings, but really cool. This is, again, a breakthrough in my life, to be on a tour where that's what the freezer looks like. And we have all this plant-based sausages. And the whole crew eats those, everyone tries those out and really digs them as a protein source. And speaking of not killing pigs, someone used this picture the other day, the Farmshire Sanctuary, you see them tagged there. And they very kindly used a picture of me we had visited. You could tell from my fro that is during the pandemic. But I love pigs, and this was a beautiful visit with a couple pigs. Back to Alabama. There it is. That's the historic colored entrance. This is where the colored people had to come in by law. But it's cool. They had a whole thing on the wall explaining this and saying, hey, this is part of our history, and we want to make sure people learn about it, which is a beautiful thing. Random photos, old buildings, old weird paint spatterings. Yeah, some cool kind of film noir moments in Birmingham, Alabama, to close out my show today. And just some images. That's a nice one. And I think that's it. There we have it. Oh, wait, there's a couple more. Greyhound. A lot of stories of the Greyhound bus station. And look at that shit. That's almost 100 years old. Incredible. Looks a little Germanic, a little early 30s Berlin in a way, which, they had some allies here in some of these states. People forget that shit was catching on in the US. Okay, folks, well, I'm going to dial out here. This is great. I wanted to do 90 minutes, and I'm coming in under 90. So I'm going to really try to keep these shorter with a 90-minute max. So as I said, let's see, I'm about 80 minutes now. So I take a couple questions. Let's see if anyone has a question on YouTube. Lee Coleman says, yeah. Hey, Lee, how are you? You might have been referring to one of those shots. Yeah, it was all delicious, and eating is easy on the road. I mean, at this point, eating, vegetarian, eating healthy, eating natural foods. We are in a place in Gainesville, Florida, and There's a Whole Foods, a mile walk. Maybe I'll do that. There's a Walmart, even shorter. And people can hate on Walmart, but they have an incredible selection, better than a health food store. Um, Certainly 20 years ago, but Walmart competes with a good health food store right now. There, I said it. I mean, it's mind blowing. Everything, huge section of vegetarian proteins, ancient things like tofu and tempeh, newer things like some of these field roast sausages or tofurkey, things like that. Huge amount, of course, of beans and nuts and stuff like that. Organic produce, Whole Foods, I'm sorry, Walmart on volume is the largest retailer of organic produce on earth. I'm staggered by that fact. Look that up. Now, they're the biggest retailer. They got the most square footage footprint. So that's why they have that number in the third most populous country on earth. So it's a number that, once you understand where it's coming from. But that said, that's fantastic that they're writing a check that big to organic farmers, to plant-based sources. I mean, their freezer of plant-based food, protein, veggie burgers, chicken nugget alternatives, stuff for kids. Green Giant now has a whole line of plant-based kind of entrees and stuff. Green Giant has a whole line of these grain bowls with wild rice, brown rice, quinoa, with vegetables, some of them with soy or wheat or pea-based protein, like nuggets and things. All of those things you see in a Walmart. So I'm blown away that there's a market that's growing for this. And also there's a response. And to wrap my show up, the opposite of the response of this jackass DeSantis. Yeah, I'm right here in your state. I'm calling you a jackass because you are. What a jackass. Someone defend him. Go ahead so we can have a dialogue. Because I'd like to know. I think give me the pros of there's actually a show that we do. Should I even say what city? But the production manager, I won't say the city. I'm looking forward to this. Guy's a dear friend of mine. I do a lot of shows at this venue. I've been to this venue with Adrian Ballou, I think Al DiMeola, 10 years after with the Woodstock tour. So, Vanilla Fudge, all these bands, we went there. I've been there with Greg Lake, been there with Yes, and I've been there with Pat Metheny. So it's cool when you go to places with different people because you get to know the crew and stuff. You know the room, the venue. But the production manager there happens to be a man of Mexican descent, a Latino man, and he's a Trumper, hard right Trumper. So he loves DeSantis, loves Trump. And I love this guy. He's a friend of mine. We're going to hug in a few days. I'm going to say hi. And we're going to get right to it. We're going to bust each other's balls. And I like that. I want dialogue with these people I disagree with. And I always learn some stuff. Hopefully they learn some stuff. What's fun about this particular place is he's the boss. And none of the mostly progressive staff members give him shit because he's the boss. And he kind of, there's that dynamic, So what's fun is that I tear him a new asshole and I tell him how insane he is to be a Latino man supporting the likes of Trump and supporting this shit. And I get it. I get the arguments. I do. I really, that some liberals should understand that there's actually valid, attractive arguments of the right wing to Latino people. Let's say you're very religious Catholic Latino, then you're going to be on board with their, views on abortion. If that's your stripe of Catholicism. Let's say you're a Latino person from Cuba or Venezuela, which is a lot in Florida. I get it. You came from a country where there's a perceived connection to leftism. You're wrong because the insanity of uh, how the Chavez government went or how the Castro government went. Those are dictatorships. Those aren't, you know, that's not the socialism of the Netherlands or Canada or Japan that we're talking about. That's not the working model of kind of comprehensive healthcare and 14 years of publicly funded education and not letting people die in the streets and uh, regulating banks properly, all those kind of things. But I get it. If you're from Venezuela, you're from Cuba, and you grow up under that shit, socialism, evil. You come here and you're courted by the right wing and told that so it doesn't become Cuba, vote for me. I get it. You're going to do that because you're not hearing from people like me to shred that ridiculous argument. Um, so this guy's like that, and I look forward to seeing him in a in Florida, in an unnamed place in Florida, and talking about where we are today. And they got to jump through hoops increasingly. They got to jump through hoops. Here's this guy calling the places they're from shithole countries, talking about it's going to be a bloodbath unless he wins. I love hearing these people defend this shit. And it all connects. It all connects to food. Some of you might be going, "What is this? Andre's ranting again. What does this have to do with food?" I'm going full circle because one of their heroes of the right is going after food freedom. And I started the show on that. He's going after your choice to eat lab-grown meat, cultured meat, which is a crucial component as we move forward environmentally. There's no choice. We have to find a different way to create flesh protein if that's what you choose to eat. There's no way to keep doing it and creating a dust bowl in a lot of parts of the US, or destroying the water supplies, or having Olympic-sized swimming pools filled with pig effluent that they just can't figure out ways to get rid of this very toxic stuff. Right now, they dry it and spray it into the air and make everyone sick around the pig farms. This is a fact. Look this up. And they're scrambling with what to do. California, part of the water crisis is how much water is used by the cattle slaughter industrial complex in California. So this has everything to do with politics because laws are being passed to address these things. And one of the big components is there's several things, but one of the components is if you're going to eat pork, chicken, beef, increasingly it will be grown inside in a petri dish environment in these massive tanks, of course, because of rainforest, what's happening, coral reefs. Please read about this stuff. Read about the effluent coming out of the Mississippi into the Gulf, and how much of that is creating this algal bloom, this algae problems. The science behind this is being reported over and over and over, but too many people not looking at it. But the effluent coming out of the Mississippi, which comes right down the middle of America and gets fed by all these rivers and all of this water waste from our agricultural situation, the amount of that ends up being tied to the biggest use of water in agriculture, far more than plants, is processing and feeding. And so the water for the extra corn and soy and wheat that's used to feed these animals, the water for these animals, which is a massive amount of water, and then the water to process their deaths and their flesh. All that processing adds up to the biggest use of water in most of these states and one of the bigger polluters of the water. And then it ends up in the Gulf of Mexico. Again, if you Google water health, Gulf of Mexico, Mississippi effluent, any of those things, your head will be on fire because it's getting worse and worse and worse. So DeSantis, jackass. here he is making a move to stop something that is one of the attempts to spoon out that ocean. And yeah, I'm realistic. Will it really work, any of this? Maybe not. We're probably facing a dystopian nightmare. I'm a sci-fi fan, but I also don't lose hope. And I think, all right, let's keep trying, and plant-based diet, local foods diet, eating less, eating simpler, eating more raw foods, all these things. If I can leave this planet having inspired one person to do that a little bit more, then I'm happy. And I've inspired thousands and thousands from just about 20 years in the industry, and now approaching 40 years of just, I think, in a friendly manner, advocating. So a pox on DeSantis' house as I close out. All right, I'm going to close for real with a couple of your comments or questions. Thomas Palmieri is talking about the band from Utopia. Yeah, let's thanks for reminding me to plug that. I'll do some streams. I just finished booking a tour for Band from Utopia. That's Banned. They are Zappa alumni, three of them: Scott Tunis, Bobby Martin, and Ray White. And I'm so proud of this because Zappa, of course, one of the most inspirational forces in my life, musically, sociologically, politically, culturally. But on October 31st, 1981, I was 16, sitting in my lonely teenage room, a dorm at Rutgers University. I had my cassette ready and my fingers ready to press play and record because they were broadcasting Frank Zappa live from the Palladium. Still, for me, one of the greatest concerts of all time. And it's funny, I say that now, 150 Zappa albums into my life, and playing the music for years on tour and meeting so many of the people and watching every Zappa movie, video, interview, all that shit. Still, Halloween '81 is such a fucking pinnacle. That band, the material they did, the level they were playing, the technical level too, the audio, the capture of that show, it just reinforces how Frank would had the highest standards. And I forget the exact, I think he was using some Sony digital recording for the first time on that tour. He was great about, trying cutting edge stuff. In any event, that show features these three men: Scott Tunis on bass, Bobby Martin on vocals, and he was one of the keyboard players along with Tommy Mars, and Ray White, who was pretty much lead vocals. Vocals were shared between Ray, Frank, Bobby Martin, but Ray did the lion's share. So those three guys are on this tour, Band from Utopia, and we're going to put the dates up. There's a site under construction. I don't even want to. I'll just say it. It's bandfromutopia.com, but it's junk right now. But it does have the dates on there. But we have some shows mainly in the northeast quadrant of the USA. So if you're a Zappa fan and you love the alumni, check it out. There are shows starting Chicago and Milwaukee being the western edge, and then St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, I'm forgetting Rutherford, New Jersey, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, New Haven at Toad's Place, and then down to the south, there's something in Asheville, North Carolina, where I live, Nashville, Montgomery, New York, which is not the south, Atlanta, Charlotte, North Carolina. There's a couple of Virginia. So check that out. Okay, back to some of your questions. I just want to make sure I mentioned the Zappa tour, and so proud and honored to be asked to book this tour. And for me, it's really an incredible full circle because, again, that band, that show launched I had just got into Zappa a month or so before this at age 16. And to hear that band and be inspired, and now to be responsible for setting up their tour. Wow, just amazing. So Lee says, what's the one plant-based staple you have trouble finding outside the USA? Great question. Man, it's gotten so amazing. And I've not gone everywhere on planet Earth. I've not gone to two continents, Antarctica and Africa. But from what I read and understand, and I interviewed a wonderful chef, a gentleman from Nigeria who has a vegan restaurant. It's on my archives here. It's 2 years ago. I should interview him again. And we talked about the availability of all kinds of proteins in Nigeria, for instance. So, and he talked about other African countries. So I know when I do go there, which I hope to, won't be a problem. So you find tofu everywhere, everywhere. Partially because Chinese people have emigrated everywhere on planet Earth and brought their wonderful cuisine. So tofu, I'm answering your question backwards, kind of saying what I can find. So plant-based staples. You find every bean, every lentil, stuff like that everywhere. Tofu. I would say maybe tempeh is the thing that is a maybe thing. Yeah, tempeh. I consider that a staple for me. Tempeh is one of the greatest foods, one of the highest protein foods, more protein by weight, which is the way to compare things. More protein than turkey or chicken, just a couple grams, something like 17, 18 grams in a serving, where you're going to get 14, 16 in chicken and turkey. So let's call it about the same, even though it's a little higher, but it's a far superior protein. And I will argue that point because you're getting that protein. Protein is protein to your body. You're getting it without cholesterol, without the hormones. And even no hormone added chicken has hormones in it, right? It's an animal. No hormone added beef has 30 or 40 mammalian hormones in it. So you have some issues there where tempeh, you're getting all these, bioflavonoids and isoflavones, all these great components of soy. There's a lot of misunderstanding about soy. There's a lot of bad press on soy, a lot of shitty studies, which I'm so happy to say we've gone decades and those have been rinsed out. But the biggest endorsement for soy is millennia of being part of Asian diet. And it's about variety. There's varieties, different types of soybean, and you don't eat them every single day. But tempeh would be the one, Lee, that is, I consider, a staple because of its incredible macronutrients, its incredible flavor profile. That's a personal thing, but most people love tempeh. So easy to grill or air fry or saute or bake. That's the one. Yeah, when I'm in some places in England or Germany, you find it sometimes in the health food store, but I'm always surprised how it's not more prevalent because it's way more nutrient dense than tofu. I think far more interesting of a flavor profile. I think people who are not vegetarians enjoy tempeh when they have it for the first time more than tofu. So that's an interesting one. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I mean, you could argue maybe some specialized protein powder or shake or something like that. But yeah, no problems in the modern era. Okay, last couple of Facebook questions today. Eric Svalgaard, how are you, bro? Weird kiosk ordering system. I assume you're talking about maybe Kava or one of those places. Maybe you're talking about somewhere else because Kava, maybe you're talking about something else. Kava, if anyone's not gone, CAVA is really great, and it's not everywhere yet, but think of it as a Chipotle with like Middle Eastern food. So you go in and you choose greens or rice or some sort, and then you can get your choice of meats. They have again, because of the market changes I'm talking about, they have no hormones added turkey and pork and stuff. No, actually no pork. I think it's maybe Muslim owned or directed. I may be wrong about that, but they seem to have beef, lamb, chicken, turkey. But lots of vegetarian options. couple types of beans, falafel, 2 types of falafel, 3 types of hummus. All the dressings except one are vegan. So kava is great. Uh, cheese, always best kept on the dashboard of a truck. Yes, you have shown that. Yeah, cheese, what's great about cheese doesn't have to be refrigerated per se. Yeah, it's fermented milk, so let it ferment more. Uh, yes, a good, healthy, organic milk source, cultured cheese with the live cultures. I support that. That's a fermented food. People want to eat that way better than cheese product, cheese whiz or something like that. But there's again increasingly incredible vegan cheeses. Uh, NAACP Image Awards, they supported Biden and had tasteful Biden commercials how they support him. So there's hope. Well, yeah, don't get me started. I gotta sign off here. But okay, you got me started. Uh, I'm not sure what you mean by there's hope. Since you're talking about NAACP awards, possibly you mean there's hope. You say they support him. So there's hope. Again, it's flesh this out. But if you're saying there's hope that Black people will support Biden, we overwhelmingly did, even though he said you ain't Black unless you vote for me, which is fucked up and racist. And if it was in a vacuum, it was the one thing he said, then okay. But Biden, unfortunately, has 50 years of saying fucked up shit, really fucked up shit. Not wanting his kids being bused to a racial jungle. What was that one? Or Barack Obama. He's the first clean, articulate, good-looking Black candidate. Wow. So Biden is, that said, I voted for him and I vote for him again. Why? The policies and his administration. He's hired competent, incredible people to run Department of Education, to run the FDA, to run Interior, Department of Defense, Secretary of State. He's got really, really good people. So, but yeah, you raise a great point. Black people and Biden, he's fucked up. It's funny, the Democrats are not making a big deal of when Trump just said, what did he say? Said some racist shit in front of Black people. Oh yeah, uh, I'm popular with the Blacks because I've got a mugshot too, so Black people like me. Wow. But notice Democrats are not making a big deal of that because, our guy, he start going through quotes. So they leave that one alone. But yeah, I'm very concerned though at the 25% of Black males that support Trump, and it seems to be a growing number. And the Democrats have to wake up, stop making promises year after year after year after year that only exist when it's time to get the votes of Black people. We're sick and tired of hearing that shit. I've been hearing that problem since I was a child and in Chicago and picking up on politics and hearing that exact thing. Like the Democrats only come around when it's time for votes. So, we got several months to, you know, reach them with that message. But anyway, started on politics because of Ron DeSantis and the lab-grown meat, ending with politics. And that's how it rolls. So thank you, folks. A good 90 minutes. Signing off of YouTube. And I will see you all. Let's see. When's there another Monday that I'm off? Kevin saw Frank in 81 Uptown Theater. Great show, right? I mean, that 81 band. Let's see. I do this when I can on the road, but it's rough, folks. We're here to work and sleep when we can. How about that? We're off next Monday. I will do a Meatless Monday next Monday. We'll be in a really good food town, Atlanta. So I'll probably be out getting some Middle Eastern food or something as well. But maybe I'll see you next week. Until then, check patmetheny.com. That's where you can find me. And I'm gonna go back to office hours and get some sleep, and then we're out of here at 1 a.m. See you soon. Rock and roll over.